You know, some people might remember that there was a Rabbi Dr. Shalom Coleman once in Bloemfontein. I arrived in South Africa, of course, much earlier than that, but I was the rabbi of your community. And I'm so happy to hear that you're making a special Shabbos where there's a reunion of some of the families now that are still in South Africa and still with an association with Bloemfontein. Well, I'm here, the retired rabbi now of Perth, Western Australia. We have a very beautiful model community here, which I had to start from scratch. But I must tell you that we have also some South African Jewish community members from Bloemfontein. I'm sure some of you will remember the name of Wasserman. Well, Barney Wasserman is here and a very active person. He, in fact, is one of my students at my weekly shiur. And Barney's father was the president, Sam Wasserman. He was the president of the Education Committee in Bloemfontein. And we built a magnificent new school there, a new building. He was part also of the three gentlemen who had the property which built the new shul on this new complex. Well, it's really a great pleasure to know also that there is Lemmy Hadassim, who was the descendant, the grandson of Reverend Hadassim, who was there when I arrived in Bloemfontein. It was when I first came, it was in 1949, and I remained until 1959 when I left South Africa for Australia. Also, we have Hesselberg, and Dr. Hesselberg was either his father or grandfather, I think it was his father. Lovely gentleman. And one of my favourites, really, was Eric Rosendorf. He was a councillor in Bloemfontein, and we were in touch right until the time of his demise. He used to let me know many, many things. And when I had my international scholarship in 1964, I brought back to Bloemfontein badges and flags and papers from many of the cities of Israel. And he was then a councillor, and he introduced me to the mayor of Bloemfontein at that time, to whom I presented many of these badges on behalf of the State of Israel. In fact, I have got still in my memorabilia a badge of that's the coat of arms of Bloemfontein on a stinkwood stand, which the mayor gave to me as a parting gift. So I must say my attachment to Bloemfontein is still very, very much alive. I will remember with very great pleasure the work that I did there and the community that we had. I will remember particularly Bill Arnoff, because Bill was in charge of the veterans, and it was through him that I have the certificate of the veterans of South Africa. I was in the Air Force myself, but he was a very active and very wonderful person, and I have now the highest certificate of the South Africans, which they called the Moths, Memorable Order of Tin Hats. So that was the organization. And I will always remember Bill for that. I also remember with very great pleasure so many of the organizations that we had. But in particular, you should know that I was editor of the Hashoma. Now that was a paper which we put out. It was a local journal, and also a 50th anniversary book of the Hashoma, which I edited, and which must contain quite a lot of messages from the organizations available at that time. And I'm quite sure that at the reunion, if you have some of those copies, I was very, very pleased to see that Barney still had some of them and brought them here to Australia. So it's really with these nostalgic memories that I give you my blessing from a former rabbi of Bloemfontein, and also to wish you well, all of you, safety and security in South Africa, that it should be a land which will be always remembered by its wonderful Jewish community. And I do sincerely trust that as time goes on, it will settle down and there'll be more and more Jewish people returning, so that we will have once again one of the finest Jewish communities in the world, also helping Israel and helping Klal Yisrael throughout the world. God bless you all.